and welcome back to another video. We are currently in my living room and we are doing some serious market prep. I have a market stall this weekend, I have a market the Friday after, and then the Friday after that I'm also launching my website this weekend, which should be up the day after this video goes up, www.lucyluxart.com, where I'll be releasing a load of wrapping paper designs as well as a bunch of greetings cards over there. So it's quite a big time at the moment to be getting everything prepared and ready. So the reason you're in my living room is we have set out my stall tables that I would usually use with my gazebo at outdoor markets, and basically we are having a shift around. I'm not going to be taking my bigger items like my acrylic pour canvases. They sell here and there, but they're not as popular as a lot of my other items, and because we have the new stuff like the wrapping paper and a load of greeting cards, I am wanting to just test the waters and see how to arrange my market stall before we actually get there. Very important. And I thought, why don't I bring you along for the market prep? I was going to include this in my monthly vlog, but I thought this is going to be enough stuff to fill a vlog per se in itself, so I thought, why not bring you along? We'll do a load of market prep. I'll talk you through some of the things that I'm doing to prepare for a market as well as a shop update, and I thought I'd just bring you along on that. So first things first, let me have a sip of this tea. We obviously have wrapping paper. Now, wrapping paper, we can just have that laid out on the table or packaged up, but I wanted to showcase it. I wanted people to feel the wrapping paper. It's really good quality. It is super thick wrapping paper. You will be pressed to be able to see through it. I think it's gonna, well, you won't be able to see through it. It's very thick, it's very good quality. It's got a slight gloss but overly matte finish to it. Really good quality printing. And it's in A2 size. So I thought, I want people to feel that, I want people to touch it and see what they will be buying if they buy this from me. And so we're gonna repurpose some different displays that I've made in the past. So first things first, let me twist you around. This one here, this is actually, has shelves on it. So we've got some wooden shelves we made. This is all handmade by us. And we usually hang things off the top here. So when, like I mentioned, I've got 3 stalls coming up. This weekend is an outdoor weekend market, so I can use something a bit bigger, I can have more tables, whereas one of my other markets on a Friday is actually an indoor stall where I only have 1 table. So we are kind of developing multi-use displays, and I think that's really important. Multi-use for now, multi-use for potentially further products that I might use. And I just think that's really important. So this display will be used for the wrapping paper when I only have 1 table for the indoor stalls, because I can obviously fold the wrapping paper up and have it like kind of lying over the top there, and then the boxes with the packaged wrapping paper can go on here. However, for my outdoor markets, I wanted something a bit bigger, a bit more statement, and so we're going to use this big board. This usually has all my Huevember prints on it, so we're going to take these off. They're just stuck on with some double-sided sticky tape, so it should be quite easy. These will remain display prints that I will keep in my own collection or use for future stalls when I want to sell them. And we are actually going to use some IKEA poles, so let me get those. So similar to the pole that's up there, the newer IKEA poles, the version, are slightly longer, just a nice metal pole with some brackets on them. So I have, how many do I have? I have 5 of these because I wasn't sure how many I'd use, but I think they were fairly cheap, like £3 or something per pole. So really cost-effective way of doing it. IKEA is great for stuff like that. It's great for modular things that you can make into stuff. But likewise, a dowel or something like that can go through some eyelets would probably work. But I wanted something a bit sturdier because we get a lot of wind here up in Yorkshire, and I didn't want something that could snap or break very easily, especially if some kids get up there. You've got to be aware that there are young children running about, and sometimes the parents are not looking at what they're doing all the time, so you've really got to think about sturdiness, about kind of kid-proofing things as well. It's just very important. And dogs can sometimes jump. I've had dogs peeing on some of my displays before, and it's just things you've got to be aware of, and it's things you can't stop. So you've got to just proof everything that you're doing to make sure that it's handy for that. So let's get into, I'll show you some real time, I'll show some time lapse of all of my stall stuff, and I'll do some voiceovers where necessary, and I'll talk to camera where necessary. But let's do this display first. I think this is the most important. The rest I can probably do with what I've already got if I don't have time to do it for the weekend. But it's currently Tuesday and we've got to get as much done as we possibly can. Decided to use these racks. We got them in IKEA. I think it was a set of 2 for £12 or something similar, or £9. Not too expensive anyway. So it came in a set of 2. One is slightly smaller than the other, but I don't think you'll be able to see what that. I don't think you'll be able to see that when they're all up there. But we thought that we would mount these onto a board, which I'll show you very soon when I start making that display. But I thought they were perfect for having all the different gift wraps in. We've only got 4 at the moment, so it's perfect for that. And we'll stack them in here, and then we'll have some wrapping paper on display so that people can see the quality, see the size and the thickness and the pattern up close, and then they can just grab one out of these bins per se, and it'll be perfect for the sales really. So that's what we've kind of come up with for a display for this. So we just need to finish bagging up some of these and putting in their gift tags and putting on the lovely little stickers that we've designed, and they'll be ready to go for the stall this weekend. So we better get cracking before we head to bed for this evening and see how many we can get done. We definitely had a lot to get done with this. We had a lot of packaging to do, and I think we were out of the flow of things. It's been 3 months since the last market stall, and I think we definitely just needed to jump in and get things done, which comes on to my first point, packaging up your products. So when you're at a stall, you want everything to be as eye-catching as possible and to be as clear as possible what this buyer is going to be buying. And so we tend to design things with a kind of a little tag on them, or some information with them, or even a price tag that tells you a little bit more about the product next to them. So just make sure everything is labelled correctly, make sure the price is very visible. You know, I know for one, I hate asking how much something is, because then you feel like you have to buy it, and some people don't want to feel like that, so they just won't ask how much it is and therefore won't buy your product. So you've got to really be mindful of that and making everything clear. And also, as much as using cellophane goes against everything I want in life, unfortunately you've got to make everything waterproof if you are doing outdoor markets. You do not know what the weather is going to be like, and it is just one of these things that you are better to be safe than sorry. You know, try and reuse things where you can. I do try and do that, but it's just something you've got to be mindful of. And then here are some little squares that I'm putting on the outside of those filing units, just to show what is in each unit, so it is all very clear and very easy to see and pick up. to making the display I mentioned at the start of the video. This actually ended up only being made on the Wednesday, before work, at my lunch break, and after work. It was quite a long process, but packaging all that wrapping paper up took the whole day on Tuesday, so it was only got to being done the next day, annoyingly. So a lot of our time was spent doing these bigger projects, which probably should have been done in the prior weeks, but we all like to leave everything to the last minute. But luckily I put all my prints on the board with just some double-sided sticky tape, which was quite easy to pull off. And then I noticed that there was actually, where the sunlight had gone through the gaps in that display, it kind of like the opposite of bleached. I'm not really sure what the word would be. The board. So after I had a little play around with the gapping and how I want these bars to fit, I went outside and I just gave them a little sand, so that it kind of just was less noticeable, I guess. And then we went on to repairing these hinges. Obviously from a couple of years of use of this board, they were a little bit wobbly, so I just repaired those quickly, which was quite nice and easy to do. And I guess this flows directly onto my next point, which is making displays. So I know a lot of people that I do market stalls with actually buy their displays, which is absolutely fine, but if you're wanting to do it a bit cheaper, sometimes it's not cheaper, but sometimes it is, making them is the next best option. It's always something I've done. I've always tried to make my displays, and probably 60% of my displays are handmade by me, and they're much more bespoke and much better for my layout and what I'm selling, and I just think it's something better. And I make them very modular and very easy to transform into other displays if need be, hence why I'm transferring this print display into this wrapping paper display. So it's just something to be really aware of and really conscious of, and also maybe keep it within your branding. I mentioned in a minute that, you know, my displays and my stall is very much wood and white. Everything is wood and white, and that's kind of what I've tried to stick with my displays. Keep it all on brand and keep it all kind of coherent, and I think it's very much more eye-catching at the stall, and if you've got things displayed correctly, people would more likely notice them when they are at the stall, and potentially that may lead to some sales. So it is one of these key things that is very important and probably should be one of your priorities when thinking about your market stall. So I think this is what the finished product will look like. We've got the 4 poles at the top for the 4 wrapping papers we currently have, and they'll kind of fold over like that, and then I left sufficient room there. I have some little hooks that'll hook just into these little file holders, and then we have the folded up and packaged wrapping papers like this. So there's a wrapping paper with a tag and a little sticker to say what is in the package, so they'll all be in there. We have 4 of those for the 4 different wrapping papers, and we have a little gift wrap kind of showing what the pattern is and saying the same thing that's on the packaging there. And that's how it should hang. These should just hang off it, easy to remove for when I need to travel with it. But that's what the finished article will look like. Unfortunately, because this wood is so thin, I had to use some screws that were a lot longer. So I'm actually going to take this, I'm going to focus on there. I'm actually going to take this outside and just use my Dremel and just shear these off, just so that they're not going to cause a bit of a hazard. Because there's a few longer ones down here as well, which definitely need taking off. So yeah, I'm going to take those outside. I'm going to Dremel those off. I won't show you that bit because it'll be loud and obnoxious. But yeah, that's the finished display, and I think that's really good. I think it's clean. I was going to paint the wood. It did have a lot of kind of fading where all the prints used to be, and a bit of dirt and all sorts, and I did just give it a quick sand, as you saw. And maybe in the future we'll paint it, but for now I think it looks fine. It kind of matches the wooden theme that I have going on. I've got a bit of a wood and white theme on the stall, so actually it kind of goes with it anyway, so it's not necessary. But yes, I think that is a really good little display, makeshift display, and I think each pole was £3, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, so £15 for the poles. The board I already had, but say about 10 to 15 for the board, and then those were £9 for each set of 2, so that's another 18 quid. So you know, all in all, I think just shy of 50 quid to make this, and I know that seems like a lot of money, but if you go on Etsy and get bespoke displays on there, which I have done in the past, I've got one of those for my prints, they roughly average around 50 quid minimum, and this is doing exactly what I want. It's not something that I'm trying to morph into something I want it for, so I think all in all it's a good price and something I've built up. I already had the board and I've now just invested in the extra bits to make it into a display for this, and I can always remove all of this and make it into a print board again or something else. So it's very versatile, very usable for other things. I can hang all sorts of this now, so it's definitely going to be used, and I'm really pleased with it. So let's get on with what else we have to do for the stall setup. As you can see, I burnt the heck out of the back of this wood, but I did give it a quick sand, and it looks absolutely fine after that. But this is just one of these little things that I had to do, and in you know, better circumstances, when I had more time, I'd probably just go to B&Q or my local hardware store and pick up some shorter screws, and it would have been absolutely fine. But this is what the display is going to look like. All of the wrapping papers folded over like this, and this gives me scope, if I produce some new wrapping paper designs, to actually half this and have 2 wrapping papers on each pole, which is really good. I could also discontinue wrapping papers if they don't do as well, but just things to think about. You've got to think about what this could be used for in the future and how it can adapt to other uses or increase in stock or other things such like that. But the stand turned out really well. I'm really pleased with it, and always test your stands as well. Make sure they can hold up with the weight, because nothing worse than making a display and it doesn't work on the day. So just make sure everything works how you want it to work, and I'm just hoping some child doesn't kick that or run into it. And then next I am creating some bags. This is by no means something you should do. I have just always had bags. I think it's very good to offer a bag when you sell a product, and the most cost-effective way is to bulk order these paper bags. I did used to have I used to have craft paper bags, but recently I had to go to white, so that's why I've done that, and I just do my logo, so I swish it on, and then later on we will print that on with a lino cutter. God, I'm moving quick. And then we are packaging up my cards. I didn't want them to bend, so I bought special Tupperwares to house them, because I think that is very important. You've got to make sure all of your stock is safe. So I think that's my next point really, is, you know, buy boxes or large storage boxes to house all of your products so that nothing gets destroyed in transit, because there's nothing worse, and it has happened to me before, where you turn up and some of your products are not in the best condition, and so you don't feel comfortable selling them. I wouldn't, and so I have made sure that I have the appropriate storage for all of my products so that in transport they are perfectly fine. And then my next point, which is swiftly going to move on, is pricing up your things. I know I mentioned this prior, but it's very important to have everything priced if you can. With certain items like those mushrooms, I have them individually priced with their own price tags, and then some I have just a little price kind of, I in a very, very long ago vlog, I think a couple of years ago, I made some little price tags out of wood and painted them with chalk paint so that I can then use a paint marker like a Posca over the top and write up my prices. So things like that, just make sure everything is very visible and easy to see and easy to price. And then my next point, we're moving through the points suddenly. Now we've done the bulk main part of the work, which is the displays and the packaging, is to mock up your display. It's not something I do very often because I'll do it once and then it will last me a year or so, but with me doing my usual outdoor stalls but also some indoor stalls which are going to have less space, I thought it would be best to mock up my displays. So I use this gridding method, which I know a lot of stall holders do. This is actually a shoe rack that you can find on Amazon, very easy to find. I'll try and link it below if I can find it, and it's just really modular. You can create little crates with it, you can create it high, you can create it at an angle like I've done here in L shape, and mocking up like this is obviously not all my products out, it's just to see where everything would go. It's just very important. Then you can get, if I've not mocked something out and I've got loads of products, I'm trying to fit them on my stall, I tend to spend a lot longer putting my products out, and I've run into trouble where I've gone over time. There's sometimes a time limit on how long you can be setting up within, and that was definitely a push sometimes. So it's definitely good to try it out, take some photos, make sure you've made everything as modular and easy to put up when you get to the market stall. Just makes your life easier, you're less stressed. Very, very important step. So this is me just printing on my bags. As you just saw, I was printing out some of my Easter cards. I actually painted and mocked up and produced the cards all in a week for all my Easter cards. They will be on sale tomorrow on my website. If you are not UK based or nearby to attend the stall that I'm doing this weekend at Kirkstall Abbey Market, then please pop over to my website. It's 3 for 2 on cards if you use cards 3 for 2, and also free postage packaging over £5 if you're in the UK. So just please go and have a look at that. And this is probably the only part of the video that you see me doing anything to do with my website, which is just uploading all my listings and having them hidden, so that on the day just before I launch my website, I just make all of the listings shown. So it's very important. And then I'm moving on to the last stages of it, which is my wonderful girlfriend is actually cutting these mounts. The frames that I buy don't have the biggest opening in the frame mount, so she has to kind of cut these out. We bought this little mount cutter that allows you to cut it at an angle, and it's very difficult to use, and she's powered through and doing it all for me, so I appreciate that. And just cutting mounts so that I can frame some of my artwork and sell them framed. I can make a little bit more of a markup on the cost of those, so it's very important. And also just remember, which is another point, to protect your products. You don't want to turn up, like I have mentioned, and things are, you know, not in their best state. So I actually bubble wrap all the frames as well, which you will see me shortly doing. But yeah, back onto the cards. The Easter cards will be available tomorrow, as well as all the other products, my wrapping paper, my other cards. So do head on over to my website, www.lucylocksart.com. A bit of selfless promo there, just getting it in there, and I'm going to leave you for the rest of the video. I hope that those tips have been really helpful. Oh no, let's do this last tip, which is an inventory and price list to have behind the store. When you sell something, you can knock off and write down a tally of what you have. Very important. It helps you make sure that your cash and your Zettel payments, which I'm showing you here, which is a card payment system, all tie up with your tally. Sometimes it can be a little bit hit and miss if you've forgotten to check off one thing, but it's really important, and also important to see what products are selling. Just very important. But anyway, now is the end of the video. I hope that has all been very, very handy for you to watch. I know I wish I'd have seen something like this, or some sort of guideline as to what to do at a market stall. And I hope this helps some of you that are thinking about doing it. And if you are contemplating it, just do it. It's so much fun. You'll learn from it. And don't be disheartened if your first time isn't great. Sometimes that goes the case. Sometimes you'll have a fantastic time. Sometimes I don't even have a good stall weekend. But I'm hoping to do a video very soon, kind of giving you the realistic numbers of what I do, what I make at a stall. I think it's very important to be transparent with this business, and I hope that I can do that, and I hope this video has been helpful. So thank you very much for watching. If you've stuck to this at the end of the video, gold star for you. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one.